You're listening to AchtungMillwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to a preview show of sorts for the Bristol City home game tomorrow. Joining me to kick over the traces, what's been a very strange week, I believe, in Millwall life. Aren't they all strange? But anyway, joining me to kick over the sands of the last 7 days, Mr. Michael Avery. How you doing, Michael?
Not bad. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering. Don't panic.
We'll come back to this strange affair of Tuesday night very shortly. But of course, you were at a far more exciting venue. You're at Baylis Avenue in Thamesmead, Michael, watching a decent 4-0 win for anyone that's not picked up on the Area of Town podcast we're putting out. Sounds like a great evening you had there, mate.
Do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I'm obviously doing some bits behind the scenes for Area of Town, as people may know.
He's head of youth and community there, listeners.
Yeah, so I'm very humble. But also along with that, you know, we've obviously sort of expanded on what Achtung Grassroots was, and we've got our own sort of Dockers Debate show now. But again, if I could take my sort of like Area and sort of Achtung Grassroots head off and sort of stand there as someone who's watching non-league football, they're playing some very, very good stuff this season. Very, very good stuff. You know, we won't get overly carried away and say that they're the new Wrexham, or there's going to be a documentary coming out anytime soon, or Ryan Reynolds is going to fly in, or Hugh Jackman, or anyone like that. But let's just say that it's bouncing down there at the moment. The pre-season was very, very impressive. Some of the signings, for people who know sort of non-league football, have been very, very good. You know, the league, there was an unfortunate 2-0 away defeat against Whitstable, but I mean, the FA Cup extra preliminary rounds against Achtung, if you will, they were so impressive. I mean, in two 90-minute games of FA Cup football, regardless of how you look at it, what round it is, it's still FA Cup football. Achtung, I think, registered 2 shots on target. One was a 30-odd yard screamer, which you're not going to keep out for love nor money, and the other was one that was held by the goalkeeper. Area of Town are very, very good this season. It's not often you see, with the nicest respect to non-league teams. Nick, you've done some grassroots stuff as well. You've seen it. You know what it's all about. Yeah. But very rare do you see 1-touch, 2-touch football, quick transitional play, overlapping fullbacks in non-league football, especially at SCEFL level. So again, we noticed that this is the main Millwall pod show, and this isn't a Dan tools and drop everything you're doing and get down to Baylis Avenue. But part of the deal with the Supporters Club as well, you know, working alongside the Area and Belvedere's, the Fishers, the Area of Towns, is to get eyes on these teams. And, you know, for a £5, if you're an MSC member, you can get down there on the games that Millwall are away. This is good precisely. Football. I mean, good football.
Local football, good bars. And, you know, I haven't been to the Thamesmead ground yet, listeners. I do intend to get over there at some point in the forthcoming season. But I've been in the Area from Belvedere bar, which incidentally they're at home on Sunday, free entry if anyone's in the area around Welling. You can have a walk in and get yourself a beer and watch a game of football. It's their first game back in the Isthmian South East, I think, for X number of years. I don't know how long time. But yeah, something that really struck me, Michael, and it comes back to what was quite a miserable evening, in truth, at the Den on Tuesday night. Something I've picked up from the shows that you've done and some of the shows that we've done over time is the enjoyability of non-league football. And I'm not here to particularly press non-league football on this show, listeners, but there's an enjoyability factor to it. And obviously, you know, you're involved at the moment with Area of Town, so you're part of that club mentality. That's the right way to put it. But there's a kind of I don't know if it's overdoing it, but there's a kind of a joy and a simplicity and an almost old-fashioned idea that you're there to enjoy yourself and have a good time. We'll come back to Tuesday night very shortly, listeners of Millwall, but that's what I do worry at times that we're losing from the modern professional game, and at times I do worry about Millwall for the same reason, Michael, because you don't always get that at the pro level, whatever you want to call it, do you?
Do you know what as well? To be honest with you, this again goes to show you the type of club it is. And again, it's nothing. It's one of the reasons why I've joined Area of Town behind the scenes. I was always incredibly grateful to Acton Millwall, and also the fans who listen to the show and have got down to games, because there have been a number of Millwall fans who have got down to Erith Town. Again, I'm not saying that there's hundreds and thousands or anything like that, but there is a midweek fixture on Tuesday, FA Cup extra preliminary round. Historically, again, no disrespect to the level, but let's just call it as it is. They were very much the one man and their dog type fixtures. You had over 110 people there at that game, enjoying the game. That the entire stand was packed. Everyone's talking. You've got young kids there from the local areas who have been a part of it. They're entertained. Like with my boys who I train and I coach and I manage, because obviously people who follow me know that I get involved in that side of it as well.
This general idea, and I don't want to overdo it, listeners. You've tuned in for AchtungMillwall here, but I do worry this is a thing that's disappearing from Millwall specifically. The game generally, there was a commerciality to it. We're going to come back to some of this stuff in due course, which you don't get. There's an authenticity. I think that might be a better word that I'm searching for, Michael. We've been to quite a few non-league grounds, one way and the other, as far out as Sheppey, various other locations, Erith and the two Eriths, as we said. But there's something real about it. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to replace the game at the top level, but I can see how people can become disillusioned with professional football at the expense of the non-league scene. And I'm not here to depress anyone, but I want to come back to Tuesday night's performance. You were an exciting 4-0 win on Tuesday, so you'll know very little other than what you've read of the misery that was the home League Cup tie versus Reading on Tuesday night. I was there. I did a show about it, a kind of live stream of consciousness, as I call it, on the night. It's a very Millwall thing to go from the euphoria and the praise and the upbeat feeling of winning well, and we did do well up there at Riverside last Saturday, to follow that up with a half-arsed, couldn't care less shambles of a home performance where we got stuffed by Reading's under-21 side. Effectively, I wasn't all for that, but there was a large chunk of their under-21 side, and we just did not look like we gave a shit about it. And there's certain elements of Tuesday night that worry me a lot, because we were outplayed by some measure by the Reading under-21s. And I just found it very hard to contrast what we saw on Tuesday with the really strong performance we saw on Saturday. Many people have replied back, because I compared it, Michael, with the infamous 6-0 loss against Rotherham all those years ago, where players almost, I'm not saying Mill on purpose gave the game away Tuesday night, but lack of effort has the same effects. And there's something deeply dissatisfying about going to a football match like we did on Tuesday. It's a competitive fixture. You can have a conversation about the place of the League Cup, as I'll always call it, in the modern game. But you expect your professionals to put 100% in. I don't think we saw that. The paying public, on however many thousand, I haven't looked at the crowd Tuesday night, did not get value back from that Millwall side. We didn't see 100%. And that bothers me, because that's the essence of sport, isn't it? You're not going to pay and watch it if you're not going to think you're going to get always the total performance, if you know what I mean.
The thing is, as well, what gets me is, firstly, if you're a professional and you're playing football in a professional tournament or competition in the sense of the League Cup, regardless of what it is, you go for it. And I know it sounds so cliche and so stupid, but it really is. West Ham have proved, and as much as it pains me to say this on a Millwall podcast, trust me, but West Ham was in a 2-bob European Cup competition, which is the European equivalent of the League Cup, if you will. They're now in a more major European tournament through winning it. Yeah. I know with teams like Millwall, don't get me wrong, like the sense of us winning League Cups and FA Cups, and I know we've got to finals of FA Cups, that's besides the point, but the point of us winning these big tournaments isn't really going to happen, but you still take it seriously. There's still prize money to be there. There's still opportunities to blood your youngsters. There's still an opportunity to give players a run at. Someone like Bart Biakowski, I know he got an absolute slaughtering online, but this would be, for example, those type of players' chances to stake their claims and get back in the sides. it just isn't good enough. And what makes it worse as well, I know there's the reduced entry fee, but the fact that I know that under obviously League Cup regulations, you'd have to put out certain advertisements or sort of content to advertise the game and everything like that. But you're charging people to come in and watch this. You know, and I know sometimes with football, you can argue it's the entertainment factor, and should you be entertained, should you not be entertained? Jose Mourinho famously, his sides haven't been massively entertaining, and he's always been known for grinding out 1-0s and winning titles. That's absolutely fine, but just give it a go. But if you're not going to take the competition seriously with regards to your first team, I know there's that rule where you've got to put a certain amount of players out. Put your youngsters out who've got a point to prove. You know, and it's just not good enough. You know, you shouldn't. I know that clubs don't have like I said, a sort of black and white. You must entertain the fans, but you can't charge people to watch this kind of stuff and then not turn up yourself.
No, I was looking at the post-match interviews. I've subscribed for the month, listeners, to Millwall TV. So I'm going to be away for a bit, so I want to watch some of the full highlights and the bits and pieces you do get on this. I paid £5 for a month just to see what it's like. But anyway, well, part of the joy of Millwall TV is you get to see the post-match interviews, and I particularly watched the one on Tuesday with Gary Rowett because I think he was a bit bewildered. I think that was my sense walking away from the ground, Michael. I felt a bit bewildered by what I'd just seen. If you said to me that was Erith Town playing some league side and they were very, very much second best, then that's what I felt like with Millwall. We just looked like we weren't at the races, and that was a decent Millwall side that took the field there. That was a side that, on some days, you might think should be competing in the Championship, given the toll that the season takes on a squad. So it shouldn't have been that far off the pace. Ring rustiness, yeah. I mean, Bart's taken a mullering online. He was at fault for at least 2 of the 3 goals, arguably 3 of the 4 goals in the end. So certainly, you've got to expect some criticism. I do think people go so far over the top now. I mean, we've had the George Long conversation previously, but now we're going to have the Bart Bielkowski conversation. This is Player of the Season. Was it twice he won it? Twice
he was Player of the Year, 2 years running, and the third year.
Not that long ago. Yeah, he had a mare of a performance on Tuesday. Let's not try and hide the harsh truth, but I think he does have some credit in the bank, and it was okay if the manager thinks he's no longer able to perform, then we're still within a transfer window, and they would have to have a conversation with Bart, and maybe there's a solution. I don't know. We're not privy to all that, but the over the top quality of the social media criticism that goes on now, I just think is disproportionate. I did feel sorry for Bart Bielkowski because he is who he is, and he's done brilliantly for us in the past. But there's no credit in the bank in football, Michael. You're only ever at 0,
Yeah, the thing is with Millwall as well. So I'm a Millwall fan, obviously. I've season ticket for X amount of years. I'm one of these who was at the old den as a wee nipper and all that kind of stuff. So I've seen it. With all due respect to you, Nick, I've not been around as long as you have and seen it all. But even in some of my years, I'm seeing it. But what got me was I listened to Aaron's show, BBC Radio London, last weekend after the Middlesbrough game, and some guy rung in. Can't remember who it was, and this is no disrespect to him specifically. So please don't take it this way, but it's just an example of what it is. Is that he mentioned that like players like SA and all this potential Ballon d'Or winners.
Ballon d'Or.
And then Tuesday you've got a goalkeeper. Who should never step foot on the pitch ever again, and it's like there's no middle. There is no grey at Millwall. I mean, it makes it exciting. Don't get me wrong. But and this is why I sort of half tongue in cheek said the "Don't panic, Mr. Mandarin" thing, because I will say I've said this. I'll sound like a broken record. I say this every single season. Follow the Kenny jacket. Judge me after 12 games.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair way to look at it. I didn't hear the Ballon d'Or come. I'm going to use that in tomorrow's live stream. Ballon d'Or winner potential. Yeah, I mean, I suppose the big difference of life generally nowadays, Michael, is that Coldblow Lane could be the theatre of cruelty down there. I mean, it was a cutting environment and no place for you know, for the lily livered to take the field. If you couldn't take it, you'd soon find out the old den. But I suppose nowadays what you've got is an ability to reach personally people in a way that didn't really exist in the past, and that's not going to change. So I suppose everyone's got to get used to it, and players have to find ways to manage that if they want to manage it, because nowadays you really can let Bart Bielkowski know directly what you think of straight after a performance when no one's thinking straight. I'm not sure it's always done. It does a lot of good in the world, but I'm not sure it's always the best thing either.
Yeah,
Equally,
yeah.
so
I think sometimes as well that the fans need to sometimes. And again, I'm not lecturing people. You do what you want. You don't have to listen to me. I'm just more sort of friendly advice, if you will. It's just these are professionals. This is their job. You know, George Long, regardless to whether it happened at Millwall or not, you know, it's fine. You know, in the sense that, you know, if he moves on to other places, good for him, kind of thing. But these are professionals. It's their job. If your opinion is he's useless, not a bad goalkeeper, he's not a good goalkeeper, should I say? He doesn't mean to be a bad goalie. He doesn't mean to let goals in. He doesn't mean to be beat from 30 yards. It's just he's not very good at what he does.
Yeah,
You know, kind of thing. You know, and I'm absolutely for one that if someone isn't putting the shift in, give them pelters. You know, like tell them to pull their finger out. I am like that, because that is what you expect from a Millwall crowd. That's what you expect from a Millwall team, 100%. But George Long, as I think I heard it on your last show, Nick, he's not exactly gone out and slagged the club off. It's just not worked.
No. I would far prefer it if it was the opposition that caught it. Well, I had to laugh today. There's on the Twitter. There's the club's official account has put out a video with Gary Rowett, I think, appealing for to keep your views and opinions in check. It's like some kind of football league wide initiative, but I thought it's great timing before one of the most emotionally charged games in many years. I can't think of
read the room, Gary. Read the room.
I mean, he's required to do it contractually, but I mean, tomorrow's game against Bristol City. Looking at the, just reading through the program of of what's going to be done tomorrow. It does have a big feel about it, Michael, doesn't it? I mean, the thing gates, Irish bars open at 11 a.m. Get on the sauce at 11 a.m. at the ground, and it's going to be a big occasion. We've got the James Berylson doing the same kind of walk as his dad did, and presentation on the pitch with the EFL. I think Amy Berylson, John's wife, is going to be there. So it's going to be a big old event tomorrow, with a football match mixed in that we really could do with a win just to get back on the straight and narrow. So I don't know. Is it anticipation or trepidation? I don't know which word to use for tomorrow, but it's got a feeling of a big Millwall day out, one way or the other, for better or for worse.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a sellout as well, isn't it? Or
sellout. They're in the we've got selling in the North Stand now. Yeah, the away end.
Yeah, so fair play to the fans here for coming out and filling the ground. Yeah, it is going to be an emotional day. It's as we've said all through the summer. I've been on sort of shows with Aaron as well discussing it, and I know you have as well. It's a situation obviously no one asked for and no one wanted to be in. To lose your owner, chairman, etc. Good guy, great guy, done a lot for the club, and like I say, fair play to the fans for turning out in their numbers. But as you say, there's a 90-minute bit in the middle where you've got to do your job. You've got to get the result done, and I think ultimately just the best fit and tribute Millwall Football Club as a team. Let's talk about the team now. The team can do just go there and at least do their best to win the game.
Come away with 3 points. I think that's that. I mean, the performance obviously will be nice on top of that, but I agree. So just the club have posted a running order for tomorrow. It does all. The place opens at 11 a.m. Turnstile's 1:30. I think 2 o'clock is when the main business starts. James Berylson's going to be walking around the fan zone, so there'll be a lot of people trying to shake his hand almost for sure. 2:15, the Berylson family will arrive at the ground, and then there's a 2:45. There's the presentation by the Football League on the pitch. So it's going to be an emotional day, highly charged, I think is the way to put it. And as we've said already, parts of the North Stand are open, so it's probably going to be arguably our biggest crowd. Maybe only the Arsenal game back when the stadium first opened will top it. That was a 20,000 crowd, but I think we got 18,500 last season, did we? And so it may push beyond that with the parts of the North Stand open. I don't know. It's going to be in the 18,000 zone, so it's going to be a big event. I want to take my hat off, Michael, to the much maligned Millwall support, because to have a sellout so early in the season is one thing. I know it's a special circumstances, but we took 900 up to Middlesbrough on a very, very unfriendly day for travel. And I'm just looking at the Millwall tickets here, which they've got another 400 tickets available for Norwich, which I think potentially, I think on 1,600 now, and maybe if those sell out, it's going to be near to 2,000. That's a pretty big commitment by the Millwall support, and I think there's a desire to pull together as a team. It's just such a shame that we had that off note midweek, just to in very Millwall style, just to stick a kind of a bum note in the middle of a great guitar solo,
Yeah. It's I think that, to be fair to the Millwall fans, they've like their numbers have been brilliant, and over the last couple of years as well. We was always a team who historically always was around the sort of 10, 11,000, maybe up to 12, but they've been coming out their numbers in recent years, and especially more recently than others. Last season, we was having attendances regularly well in the 15s and 16s and things like that. So, and away support's always been good. We always talk about the atmosphere at Millwall games. Like when you're playing in front of 17, it feels like you're playing in front of 30 and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, full credit for those who are coming out in force, as they say. And to be fair to the club as well, in this instance, we'll talk about other bits where the club may have fell down slightly soon, but fair to the club opening up the north stand as well. To be fair.
Yeah, and I imagine you'd have to get Norwich liaising with that, because they're going to somehow divide the two sets of fans in the north stand, the away end. It's going to be interesting how that works out, because if it does work out well, it can be done then, and there's no reason why it can't be done again in the future. Police will have to be in on that, security, blah, blah, blah. But no, well done to the club. We do want to praise the club. I have never, ever come on these kinds of shows, done these shows for the purpose of just slating the club for no reason, and praise where it's due. But criticism where it's due as well, because that's the other side of the coin, Michael. We're going to come back to the club shop in a moment. You've done a long while since we've had Michael's club shop update, and he's done one here on some various items. But I've been picking up on Twitter all day. People have made orders, kids wanting shirts, adults wanting shirts for that matter, and all sorts of the gear that we sell. And it's not arriving, or it's delayed. People have had money taken off them and then been offered refunds because the gear can't be sourced. This was a big thing that we're going to go with Fanatics, the global conglomerate that you see advertised in any of the American sports. I subscribe to the baseball channel, and you see them advertised constantly. A big name, Fanatics. But there's no Brave New World, it seems. It seems as chaotic and as incompetent as it ever was before we ever heard of them. And you were saying to me about how the club are not doing full kits for kids or something. The goalkeeping kit was not being done in full. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm looking on the website at the moment, and it could be something that they look at doing in the future, because it might be something they've just not got online at the moment. But I mean, we're looking at the website. You've got the blue kit, which has come out, the orange kit, which, to be fair, marketing, it looked good. The Lionesses again.
Nice kit. Yeah.
Very good.
The white one looked all right on the telly last week on the stream, and the blue one.
But again, just as we were saying there, you go on the website. He's got the home kit for that, for a sort of 4 business days or 1 business day order. It's not arriving. You go there looking for goalkeeper kit. All they've got is the short sleeve shirt. Where are the shorts and socks there? And again, it's one of those. It's the cliche first world problems, but how are you going to appeal to these young kids who want to get into the club? I mean, let's just look, for example, I was out yesterday, and like there's kids with like sort of like Inter Miami kits and things like that, and you think they're not even over.
A lot of those around there, aren't you? Yeah.
There's a few of them knocking about, and again, there's in the little football team I coach, there's a young lad who's our goalkeeper, very much the sort of young kid who just likes wearing football kits kind of stuff. Yeah. He came down to Millwall a couple of times last year. really enjoyed it. He trains in a little Millwall kit now, and you sort of think, sort of for him, I mean, I would get it for him. Obviously, his mum or dad would, but it's like,
Yeah.
I might, if he's liking Sport Mill, I might get him the Millwall goalkeeper
The
kit.
full
Goes
goalkeeper
online,
stock. Yeah.
it's not there,
No.
and there's no indication of where it is. And so
football kits are primarily in my world anyway, and I know there's people out there that do collect them and wear them, but they should be primarily for kids. You know? Look after the kids. Yeah. That is the future of the game, like the George Benson song. You know, to treat them carefully, and they're our future. So yeah, for some reason you can't buy the full kit for kids for goalkeeper.
Yeah,
which is an oddity.
AchtungMillwall.
Michael, you've picked out some odd bod items. I mean, I've been struck by the Fanatics gear, and I was going to mention it, but actually it's probably the least of anyone's worries right now. I was just going to say how bland some of the gear is that they're selling, but actually better to be bland than actually have it. It's not really a big deal. So bland away all you like, Fanatics and Club Shop. At least have the gear on site and send it out and get it out to people.
So are we ready for the Club Shop update?
Yeah, go on. I'll dig out the Are You Being Served theme and play it underneath it. So we haven't done one of these for years. Absolutely. Club Shop update with Michael. There you go.
So do provide your feedback, dear listener, on the Twitter. And if you'd like this as brought back as a regular feature, I just thought we'd have a bit of fun. So this first one is the Millwall Crest lunch bag and bottle holder. So, have you had enough of the fan zone sausage to last you a lifetime?
I haven't actually had any sausages around there, but I might do tomorrow. I'm getting there a bit early tomorrow, so I might partake of a German sausage around there, Mrs.
Why not? So has the cold pie on the concourse and the out-of-date Coke Zero and Harry's got you to a point where you want to bring in your own meal deal? And do you want a bag with a bottle holder for your bejazzled bottle of Millwall vodka?
Yes.
Do you remember those?
Well, I've heard about them, mate. Yeah.
No, it was shocking, wasn't it?
Knowledge of vajazzling, but yes.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, you're missing out. Well, if the answer is yes, then the Millwall Club Shop is for you. Head down or order online, and for the bargain price of £20.
How much? 20 quid.
You could be the owner of a Millwall Crest lunchbox and bag and bottle holder. Gone are the days of tripping up the stairs of Block 1 with your hot dog in hand, and you can now carry your lunch securely and in style. Please note, although we think this is a project which will keep your lunch secure, we also remember previous Millwall signage when the ground first opened, where lunch boxes and flasks weren't allowed in, along with candles. Also, we're not sure if vajazzled vodka is something you want to bring into the ground neither. Would you like to describe, Nick?
That very point is a wonderful product for kids to take their sandwich and maybe a drink to the game, but they won't be allowed to bring it in because it's a security risk. So. Even though you got your Millwall crest on it. The vajazzling I think we ought to move swiftly on from. So
that's another show.
This is next item on Michael's list. I might do this one. This is a Millwall Area, not era, as some people have tried to make a pun out of it. A new era, as a new area, players training sleeveless top blue. You should only wear these kinds of tops, Michael. I think they're called wife beaters in certain circles, but you should really only wear them if you've done some heavy lifting in the gym. You need like a Jean-Claude Van Damme style shoulders and arms to wear this kind of. It's one of these sleeveless tops. That's just my opinion, listeners. Don't wear them if you like, skinny types. It always looks a bit iffy. Anyway, on to Michael's piece here. Have you ever looked at a training or running top and thought, this is good, but it could do with less sleeve? Do you wish to recreate the days of Sven-Göran Eriksson's 2006 World Cup squad and wear a kit to midweek training that in 6 weeks' time when the clocks go back will be a complete waste of time? And also wear a top that's described as authentic look of your favourite team whilst you jog to collect the football you've just blazed over the bar from 2 yards out on Hackney Marshes. Well, if the answer to any of these is a roaring Hulk Hogan vest ripping, yes, brother, then log in and order the Millwall Area Players Training Sleeveless Top, blue, for the bargain price of £38. 38 quid, listeners. For that, your biceps and triceps can feel the breeze of summer. Then 3 weeks later, the pissing down rain and the autumn brings. Note, we at AchtungMillwall noticed the emphasis on blue, so did the boy band Blue deliver this when it's fully dispatched. Also, for just 40 quid, you can get this with sleeves. So if you buy this in bigger sizes, does the club cloth to pound ration increase? Makes you wonder, makes you think. I mean, I'm, you know, I'll be confessed to the listening public. I don't wear sleeveless tops, Michael. Do you ever wear them, mate? You're running kind of
Only when running.
fiend, aren't you? Only when running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only when running or in the garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think
38 quid, what do you think?
unless you're ripped, listeners, then you can probably hold that down. But anyway, move us onwards. We've got a gilet now, Michael. Where are you going?
Yes. So the arms may say summer, whilst the body yells winter. And luckily, those at the Millwall Club shop have heard the calls from afar, or those who suffer with chest colds, but also sweat a lot, and updated the Millwall Arrivederci gilet. No longer will your goosebump-covered chest annoy your sun-kissed arms, and wearing this piece of clothing will allow you to acclimatise to any situation. For the bargain price of only £65
for a gilet.
Yeah.
That you can
You
get Matalan or Georgia Asda for, I don't know, 20 quid.
£6.50. There we are, yeah. You can step onto the pitch with extra swagger, as the club says, with your tattooed arms on display, a padded chest covering your midriff, and a hood in case it rains. A must for all weather, especially if by some miracle it's on the same day. Please note, we at AchtungMillwall have noted the improvement in branding on the club site, but we're unsure step onto the pitch is the best slogan when the FA this season are trying to eradicate pitch invasions. Also, a similar coat with sleeves is £70. So now we have the minefield of coat sleeve thickness and quality compared to t-shirt sleeves and their price ratios. We're going to need a lay down.
I've never thought about the price of a gilet versus a sleeved coat. Actually, that's a very good point. The one should be cheaper than the other, strictly speaking. But yeah,
these are the questions you get only on this podcast.
I think
sleeve to cost ratio.
It's a big question. I haven't been in the club shop for a long time, Michael. Have you been in there? I mean, obviously, doing this was this research done online. Have you physically been in the club shop?
That was online yesterday. I went recently. Very bare, in truth.
Yeah.
They're probably waiting for all those kits to arrive, and the goalie shorts and socks.
I think the Fanatics deal's got to ignite. It's got to rip into action at some point soon. It's not sounding like it's running on a full engine at the moment.
Yeah, but to be fair, if you've bought those items already, fair play to you. But it's a bit steep, 65 quid for a gilet, isn't it?
A lot of people talking about non-delivery, kids wanting kit to go to football and it not arriving in time, all sorts of stuff like that. So I think the support liaison officer, which is Shona, or is it? So I think someone's covering Shona. She's away at the moment, isn't she? So they're going to hear about it one way or the other. Whether the club can do anything to prod Fanatics along, I don't know. But this is the way of the modern world. They do these deals with these big companies, and then you discover that you're just a small part in their big tapestry of money making generally, and we don't really matter very much. But there we are.
To be fair, I know we jest with the club shop update and that kind of stuff. But again, I'm sure no one at the club wants this to happen. I'm sure if the club had it their way, everyone would be kitted out in their kits by now. Let's call it as it is. They're not just going to get some company do all this stuff if they knew this was going to happen. So let's call it as it is. It's a bit of fun. It's incredibly frustrating, and I 100% feel everyone's pain. I mean, my son's birthday was recently. We tend to get him a Millwall kit for the start of the season, and we're obviously waiting. So I'm in the same, if not a very similar boat to a lot of fans out there. But let's just hope it all gets dealt with shortly.
100%. I agree with what you just said there. I'm just running through my little list of items. I don't want it to be a moan fest, listener, so you don't tune into our show for a moan fest, do you? But we do have a bit of moaning to do. It's not moan, actually. I've not been in the new Harry's bar. I think it's a bit of praise, actually, because it's been really. I've only seen photos online, Michael, but it looks like it's really been dramatically turned around. I was hoping to try and get in there tomorrow just to have a look, if nothing else. But I think tomorrow might be a day that's going to be a bit manic around there, so I might save it for another quieter game.
Yeah, it's not the Millwall, I know.
Well, that's me. I think it's going to be Ramo, as they say tomorrow. But fair play to the club. They've spent a lot of money on Harry's, but it does look nice. A lot of screens, big space. They seem to have knocked down some walls in there and made more of more actual I've moved the bar so you got more space to stand and to sit at tables and so on. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. Have you seen it at all? Or I've not been in there at all myself.
Again, similar to you, only the photos, but let's be brutally honest with you, it needed a revamp. I know,
Totally,
I know it was very infamously called H&P Aries by some people. And yeah, I know I just jested there, but there was a few times you buy things, they might be slightly out of date. But let's be honest with you, again, you know, you can't, the people who work behind the bar, they tried, you know, it's not, again, knocking them specifically. And a revamp was needed. You know, that bar's not changed for many a year.
No.
And you know, obviously the club is trying to do things behind the scenes. You know, there's all new beers apparently going to be on the concourses as well.
Yeah, well, on there, I was.
You know, you can't knock them trying to move with the times.
No, I spoke to, I can't remember the chap's name. He's a commercial director. Is it Mark? I believe.
Mark Fairbrother, was it Mark?
Could be,
yeah. Yeah, nice guy.
Caught up with him before the under-21 game back in May, and he had the company that owns, is it Shepherd Neame that owns Spitfire, Kent Spitfire, and some of the other lagers. But they've done a deal with you know, the Kent-based brewery, Spitfire Ale, to bring in some better beers. And I think, did I read that Hurleyman's made a comeback? I didn't know that still existed, Hurleyman. But yeah, so I think they've upped their game on that. They've clearly upped the game on in the facilities at Harry's. And the beers sound like they've been moved up a notch or two. So I'm interested to get in there and have a look and sample it. I might pass on it tomorrow, though, listeners. Come back another day. You know what I'm talking about, listeners. You get it. You get it. You know, it's going to be carnage around there tomorrow. So, but another day, I'm going to check out Harris, and we might do a post-match review with Harry once we get hold of him, but not tomorrow.
Cool, that would be good. Listeners. If you think this show's been a ray of positivity with moaning, bring him on.
We love H, but that's for another day. That's for another day. Back to knocking the club slightly. I had to laugh at the there's a new system there. You can buy your e-tickets and print it off at home, and you can show that. They've got like an iPad set up on the turnstiles there, Michael, when you go in. That seemed to be working, but the ticket queues to get in, we seem to be woefully understaffed at times on turnstile operators. You know, games where you think we might have more than one, we don't. We seem to have like one person scanning, and then one person comes in at a time. And there's a big photo of a big queue of people trying to get in the other night. I think some didn't get in until gone 8 o'clock with a 7:45 kickoff on Tuesday. Not that you'd have missed much. We were one down after a minute. So yeah, I mean, any new system takes a while to bed in, but I think again it's that aiming for improvement, because to print or to scan, I don't know, if to scan from your phone or something, that would be good if that can be done at some point with tickets, but it's just not quite clicked the first time of asking, so we just need a little bit of work on that front, but I think the aim is to try and drag us into 2023, Michael. You've got to applaud
and there's also not fair, and this is again where it's kind of like having your cake and eat it kind of thing from certain clubs and that kind of thing, in the sense that one, you need to you don't know what the push is from the EFL or the Football Association to be sort of like more greener or net zero and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I hadn't thought about that.
Wrexham just got slaughtered for flying all over the place. And let's remember as well that Bayern Munich years ago, like Bayern Munich's talk at the moment, time stamping this show, but Bayern Munich years ago, they did a thing where they emailed season tickets as a trial, and they got wide global praise for it. And now, you know, now we're trying to do it, or some clubs are trying to do it. It's going the other way. So you can't praise someone for doing it, and then when we try and do it, slag them off for it.
Do you think that's why we checked out the Caribou Cup? We don't want to get involved in that Euro Conference League. We don't want to be messing with the climate change. We don't want to be flying, do we? We want to be, you know, very local, sustainable.
Exactly.
That's exactly Thames meet soon. Yeah.
Damn you, Carabao Cup promoting pollution. Slander.
Dear.
I jest. When I'm on this show, it's very parody and humour, so please no suing.
The MSC's badges, Michael, the JGB memorial badge are selling like hot cakes. I've written down here. They're all in support of the Berylson Legacy Memorial Fund. So I don't know if that's particularly widely known. I was looking on Millwall Online just before I came on doing this recording, listeners, and I think one or two weren't aware that the MSC badge is in support of the idea to have a memorial of some sort to John Barrelson. They've really sold well, mate. I believe there's more on order now.
Yeah. So they are selling really well, and one of the reasons why I asked to come on the show as well to mention this was because basically, in a nutshell, if you are looking at picking up your badges tomorrow, we are going to be down there from 12:30, and we are expecting a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, it's brilliant. The again, you talk about the fans being in the seats of the stands, buying tickets and all that kind of thing, but they've also done really well selling these as well. We've sold an awful lot at the moment. There's going to be another delivery soon of some more for those who have ordered as well. So those people aren't going to be missed out. But as silly as it sounds, you know, I was going to do a cheap segue and say about queuing systems at the Den. We've actually going to bring in a queuing system for these badges so that people can get them.
Okay.
Yeah. Because basically at the Forward Club, and I know sometimes, you know, people have their opinion on us, and again, that's absolutely fine. That's your prerogative as fans. We are not going to try and sway your opinions, but we also do want to make it easy for fans as well. So we're not just going to have loads of people turn up and no one know what's going on, and everyone just takes something out of a box and then that's it. You know, it's going to be as organised as we can be. It's going to be as structured as we can be. The entire committee is down with assistance on the day as well tomorrow to make sure that
people
it's seamless. No one's bothered by it.
Yeah.
Gets bad. You know, we're getting down there from about lunchtime, so you know we're going to be there very early to ensure everything's in place. There's going to be badges on sale for people who want to buy them who have not pre-ordered. Also, the 30 that you know, again, this isn't a plug for merch or anything like that, but the 30-year badges that were given to us that we could make as well for this season of the sale as well. We know they sell popular as well, memberships, all that kind of stuff. So if you do have anything you need to pick up, let me just have a quick look at when I did get sent a message about others as well.
Yeah.
But if you do need to order, obviously get down. If you are collecting, obviously get down as well. We will be there nice and early. Send us a DM, send us an email if you need to, and we'll do the best we can to obviously help you guys out. So there is another batch that will be going on sale again online very soon, and the next delivery of those will be the 18th. So if you missed out now, don't worry, there's going to be some more coming soon. And also as well, just another bit of news for this season as well. Our season-long charity is the Royal British Legion. We've been working with the people behind the scenes who help with the Poppy Day, the Memorial Day fixture in November. So Mel, as people know from Hoff, so you know we've been working closely together, and that's going to be our season-long charity. So any questions to do with that kind of stuff, obviously drops an email, drops a DM, or just come say hello tomorrow.
Fantastic.
So it's good stuff. To be fair, again, I know that we had the little criticisms aimed at us for whatever reason, rightly or wrongly. Again, that's totally your opinions as Millwall fans. But we're listening to fans, we're trying, and we're doing our absolute best to try and help everyone out.
Do you know what? I think sometimes there's a tendency at Millwall, especially, that's the only club we know. I don't know club I know really. I wouldn't know how it works at other places, but I think there's a tendency. There's a need for people to have villains. A villain must be created. It's like a pantomime. If there isn't anything to blame, you must create a villain. And then half the time, people don't actually know the people that they're criticising, or that they've not met them, they've not spoken to them, and if they do meet, these alleged archetypes of villains, then they actually come away with the idea that they're just like them. It's just normal people. I think a lot of people, especially online, have a need to create false kind of cartoon style images of people. I think this is a great idea, Michael. I think the obviously the circumstances made the John Barrelson badge particularly poignant, and the purpose of these badges is to create a lasting memorial to one of our greatest chairmen, if not the greatest chairman in some ways. Certainly, he's put huge amounts of money into the club, so I think it should be memorialised. I mean, this is a great way to do it. It's exactly the kind of thing that the MSC should be doing, and more power to its elbow. The support for the British Legion. You know, what Millwall fans going to say? No, that's no good. I think there's a lot of nonsense spoken a lot of the times on social media and on message boards. So there we are. That's my view on it. Well done, MSC, for this. And get some more badges in very, very soon. They're selling very, very fast. Been a great initiative. So well done. Well done for that.
Achtung, Millwall.
Final thing. This is I've written bird shit on my agenda here.
No, it wasn't Tuesday's game.
It was Tuesday's game. Well, kind of. Another thing, really. I do these podcasts because it comes from a place of love for the club, really, and the history and all the rest of it, and the try and keep people up to date with what's going on. my take on it. Blah blah blah, listeners. But I've never ever wanted it to be like a personal platform where, I don't know, where you kind of pursue your problems and use this to try and resolve things for yourself, if that makes any kind of sense. But
that's what Facebook's for.
That's what Facebook's for. I walked in on Tuesday night. My season ticket is now the bird shit corner, as I call it. Spot, and Jesus Christ, Michael, it was covered in bird shit. It was literally, I sent you a photo of it, didn't I? It was the first 3 or 4 seats in the corner underneath where Mr. Byfanel is. There's a security camera that sits on the wall, and the pigeons use the security camera as a nest, as a kind of resting point. Then they shit, basically, and it goes straight down. That's what pigeons do. I mean, this is not it shouldn't come as a revelation to anyone involved in any of these pseudo works, things called facilities management. If you have an outside space like a stadium, birds will be a problem, and you have to make sure they can't rest because they will shit, and bird shit is dangerous, and you expose your company, your property, or whoever owns it to risk. And it literally it was covered in this. I don't know if it's a problem around the rest of the stadium. I find myself going on about bird shit corner a lot. It's certainly a problem where I sit up there in block 1. I don't know if it is anywhere else around the stadium. It shouldn't be, because it should be something so easily contained and dealt with. Probably it would cost a few quid to get it done right. But I've worked on estates where they've called in like a kestrel that flies around once or twice a week to frighten off pigeons. Spiking, you can get it at B&Q in places. It's not difficult, and it's not a revelation. It's been going on for years, and there's so much that's good at our club, Michael, and then we've got a capacity to fall flat on our face on the most simple, basic things. I don't get it. I mean, who walks the site? However, you could walk that stadium once a month and see a pile of bird shit. And I've had 3 months of no football, and no one seems to have looked at it and dealt with it or thought to get it cleaned up. It's things like this. It's the basic elements of stadium management. And I've never managed a stadium in my life, but it's pretty basic if you run an external facility that you got to think about these things. But no one seems to have. I'm going to be intrigued to see what it's like on tomorrow, because you couldn't sit on it. I wouldn't sit on it. It's dangerous to sit on, in my opinion. But because Tuesday night was tightly packed, because only the upper decks were open for the same, some youth were behind me, and there was 1 or 2 sitting on the shit. I said, "Fuck me, boys,"
sitting on the shit while watching the shit.
I mean, they were all youth, so I think the idea that a bloke in his 60s might talk to them was like so uncool that they didn't want to talk to me back. But I said, "You're sitting on a load of bird shit there, chaps," and it was just, if you couldn't see it, maybe, I don't know what the kids are into now, but maybe they were so crazed on on laughing gas or something that they weren't aware of what they were sitting on, but they were sitting on shit, basically, with 2 or 3 or 4 pigeons sat on the security camera up above them, ready to shit on their heads.
Yeah.
So I'll be intrigued to know if there's a problem elsewhere, listeners. Do let me know if you have a bird shit problem in your sort of part of the stadium. I'd love to know, because being serious, you need to bring it to the attention of Millwall Football Club. And if you don't, then it has an innate capacity for it to be someone else's responsibility constantly. You've got to bring it to their attention. Let me know. I'll be the bird shit coordinator. DM me on Twitter. DM me your pictures, your location. If there's bird shit, it shouldn't be there. It should be cleaned up, because it's dangerous.
Well, that's the
Have I
thing.
got-
You used to have the BMC, didn't you? The Bermondsey Male Choir. You can be the BSC. There you are.
Birdshit choir. I don't know. I mean, this is based. Do I go on about it? I mean, the reason I call it birdshit corners is a constant problem with birdshit up there. No one seems to ever pick up on it. You know, there's a down below where I sit. There's a above the entrance areas. There's like a concrete ledge where people put their drinks. There's always got loads of birdshit on it. I think. Well, does no one see it? Does it not occur to anyone that that's not right? It ought to be jet washed off because it don't take much to do, but you do need to do it.
Yeah, I'm smirking, not at you
Smirking.
specifically.
I'll stop going on about it.
No. I'm smirking because the amount that you sent me in that photo the other day reminds me of, and the listeners who are into their pop culture might remember this, but remember the bit in Ghostbusters after they killed the Marshmallow Man?
Yeah.
And the bloke's walking down the street, and all of a sudden it just hits him, and he's completely covered in it. That's what it's like, dear listener. It is everywhere. And the thing is as well, without trying to get too boring, because I know I get criticised for that sometimes as well, but that's not healthy for you, mate. Those birdshit fumes ain't healthy. It's quite a hazard.
Listen, in my previous life, when I was alive, back when I was working, I used to manage properties that we would have specific contractors that would. One firm I remember was called Disaster Call and used to manage on the Ferrier. And if a property had been abandoned, windows were left open, you would get places. I've seen places that have covered in shit like that was there the other night, listeners. And you call in a firm that come in with wearing spacesuits, Michael, oxygen spacesuits to jet it down because it is dangerous. And Millwall just seemed to have a capacity to be endlessly surprised that pigeons shit and they nest on ledges. Fucking hell. Anyway.
We digress. Score predictions for tomorrow. Let's go. Come on. We haven't done one of these now, neither.
It's going to go one of two ways. If we don't liven up in central defence, I fear I was left feared on Tuesday night that our central defence looked very creaky against pace. I do see that Bristol have sold one of their star performers, Alex Scott. So I've got to go for a win tomorrow because I'm emotionally stunted and can't expect a loss. So I'm going to go for a win in front of an emotive crowd. 1-0, 2-0 Millwall, 2-0 Millwall.
I'm going to go 2-1. I think our defence is creaky, but Nisbet will, as long as his knees hold up, he'll be fine. 2-1.
2-1. Michael, I think we've explored every nook and cranny of Millwall life on this show. Big thank you to Michael Avery joining me in his lunch hour. Thank you, Michael.
No problem at all.
And thank you.
Yeah,
thank you to you too, dear listeners, for tuning into this rant about birdshit. And we'll be back over the weekend. I'm going to be doing fairly extensive coverage, I'm sure, of the match tomorrow and then the post-match reaction. Do give us a shout. You can DM me on Twitter now. If you press the little squiggly line in the bottom corner of a direct message on Twitter, you can send me a voicemail. You have to keep it pressed. Press the squiggly line and speak, and then it will send me your post-match reviews and thoughts. Do send me it. It's great to get them. And if I get enough of them, I'll probably do it as a separate episode after the match. But until the next edition tomorrow, over the weekend, of AchtungMillwall from Michael and myself, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now. That's the pigeons.